problems that Antonio had and how he came about were actually from his brother Q. I also played another character called Q, so that was my twin brother. His brother Q was into a whole lot of mess. He was involved with, prostitution, and he was more so a loner more than anything. And he was killed by Officer Simmons, and that's what brought Antonio onto the scene. Antonio had always been a big-time, quote-unquote, drug dealer, a killer. He'd send people to do his dirty work. And when he found out that his brother was dead, he came into the city where his brother was, and he wanted to start up something there so that he can get revenge on the person who was responsible for his death, which was, in his eyes, Marquita. My role in the show came about, Apostle was looking for somebody to play a role. And actually his wife, at that time, she is now deceased, Denise Turner, mentioned my name, maybe that I could play the role. And both of them sat me down and they kind of interviewed me for the role and asked me if I knew anything about, that kind of lifestyle. And actually I used to live that lifestyle. That character Antonio was me in the world, before I gave my life to Christ. So, I gladly accepted, to do the role, and the rest is history. Before I gave my life to Christ, that was me. I used to deal in large quantities of cocaine. We'd jump in a vehicle and drive down to Miami and pick up 6-7 kilos at a time, bring them back, sell them on the streets of Chicago. When we were out, we'd go back in the car, go back, and do it again. I was probably one of the bigger drug dealers on the north side of Chicago, over in the Uptown area, pretty much the same area where Katrina grew up. I grew up in the Uptown area also, and everybody knew me. Everybody knew what I was about. I was the leader of a gang, in and out of jail a lot. But I wouldn't change it for the world, because it's an avenue to, right now I'm participating in prison ministry. So a lot of the people watch the program and they see the characteristics of Antonio, and a lot of them can't differentiate, between fact and fiction. But when I tell them I used to be like that, it kind of blows them away a little bit, because they look at me as, this guy who comes and he preaches the word and he uplifts us. But then when I tell them about who I used to be, and I used to be in the same position that they were in, it kind of like, wow, if God can do that for him, then definitely he can do it for me. So I wouldn't change it for the world. Yeah, this chain here is just a little something that I had when we were filming. It was like my trademark. Wherever you see Antonio, this chain would be in his hand. He'd be twirling it or whatnot, or just doing whatever, it'd be around his neck or whatever. But it was just a little something to distinguish, who I was. And when people saw the chain, they were like, "Whoa, he's here." The man is here. So, I kept it all this time. I figured I'd, bring it, back to life again. The impact that the show had on my life. A lot of times I would, and it was good, and to a point it was a little frustrating too, because a lot of times me and my wife would try to go out, after the program was on for a couple of years. We would get bum rushed wherever we were. We sat down and ate. If we were at a movie, if we were just out just enjoying each other's company, we'd get bum rushed from, 50, 60, 70 people all at one time, and it became kind of dangerous, you know what I'm saying? Not just for myself, but for my wife also, and also for them, you know what I'm saying? So it was 2 years that we went nowhere. For 2 years, me and my wife didn't go out, you know what I'm saying, because of that. But after a while, if they want, people got used to watching the program, and they see you all the time, and they'd say, "Hey, how you doing, Antonio?" from a distance, or what's going on in the next program next week? Well, tell us, give us a little hint, you know. And I'd never do it for them, but you know, it was also opportunity for ministry. That's a good part of it, you know, that we were able to meet a lot of people and minister to a lot of young kids, you know, especially, you know, the kids that were going through some of the things that we were portraying on the program itself. You know, the drug dealers, the gangbangers, you know, I was able to minister to them one-on-one personally. And being an ordained evangelist, you know what I'm saying, that's something that I, you know, thrive on, you know, just ministry. So it was awesome. You know, that I thoroughly enjoyed, you know, seeing the change on their face, you know, and then some of them coming, we've had an instance where some gangbangers came to the church and they laid their weapons on the altar, you know, and it was awesome. So it had an impact, and the impact was just like nothing we'll ever believe.